So to take apart the clarinet, we do it the opposite way from how we put the clarinet together. So we started, when we put it together, from the bottom up. Well, we're going to take it apart from the top down. And I know you can't see my face, but I just wanted to make sure you could see more up close what we're doing here. Okay, so the first thing I would do is take my reed off. So unscrew my ligature. I've got my thumb on it so I don't drop it, and I can slide it. So I'm going to slide my reed out, pushing from the thick end, trying not to touch the tip, right? Because it's very fragile. And I'm just going to put it here for the moment. Taking my ligature off, I'm going to put it in my case here with my mouthpiece cap. And now that I have the whole instrument without the reed, I'm going to swab it. So I'm going to take my cleaning swab, and the cleaning swab should have a long string on one end that has a weight in it, which makes it easier to get through the instrument. So we're going to put the swab through the instrument, the opposite way that the condensation went in. So we're going to put it in through the bell. I just want to jump in here now and point out that there are lots of different kinds of clarinet swabs. And so if your swab is a little different than mine, it would probably be a good idea to take the mouthpiece off because it may not fit through it. Also, it's important to make sure that your swab is nice and smooth and not bunched up at all, because occasionally swabs can get stuck inside a clarinet, but if you make sure it's nice and smooth when it goes in the bell end, you shouldn't have a problem. So you may want to tip it upside down, gently, making careful you're not going to bump into anything. And we'll put our swab in, and there we see it comes out easily the other end. So we'll pull it through, and we'll do that again. Pulling it through. And now we're done with the swab. So I'm going to take my mouthpiece off. I'm going to slip it back into my case where it goes. I'm going to take the barrel next. Put that where it goes. Now remember, there's this bridge mechanism between the upper joint and the lower joint. So when we take the instrument apart, just like we did when we put it together, we want to be very careful and keep our eye on that. And remember, we can keep our thumb on the lower of these two keys with rings here, and we can keep our other thumb down here at the base of the lower joint. And we're going to twist gently, keeping our eyes at all times on that bridge mechanism, gently removing. And we're going to make sure we put our pieces back where they belong in the case. They're like a puzzle, and we want to make sure they all go back properly, because otherwise we might close the lid on a key or something. And then lastly, we have to remove the bell, putting our thumb over this bottom key cup again. Bell goes here, and then my lower joint goes here. So you see how my ligature screws are underneath these keys? We don't want that to happen, so we'll make sure the ligature is up. This is in its proper place. Everything's in its proper place. If our swab is pretty moist, you can leave it out overnight to dry if you want. Otherwise, you can put it back in your case. Or maybe you have an outer case that goes around this one and it has a pocket or something. You could put it in there. Now, we're being more careful these days about disinfecting our mouthpieces and reeds. So let's do that. Our mouthpiece and our reed. We're going to do that with some hydrogen peroxide here and some water. So what I have here is 50% water and 50% hydrogen peroxide. And I've made sure that the water in the glass is not going to come up to touch the cork. Because when we clean the mouthpiece, we want to make sure that this cork stays nice and dry. And in fact, if you want to clean this with soap and water, soap and lukewarm water before doing this, you can do that. Just make sure that this cork stays dry. But what I'm going to do to disinfect it is put the mouthpiece in this glass of water, 50% water, 50% hydrogen peroxide. and let it sit for a few minutes. And I'm also going to put my reed in there. So this will disinfect the reed. So I'm just going to leave it there for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to remove both of these things and dry them off. So I have a paper towel that I'm going to use to dry this off with. And then I'm going to put it back in my case. So you would obviously let yours soak a couple of minutes. I'm just going to put that away, and then with my reed I'm going to do the same thing. Dry it off. You can keep your reed stored in the little case that it came in. And if you feel like it's getting dried out too quickly, you can keep it in, or keep all of your reeds in a Ziploc bag. In fact, you should have 2 or 3 reeds going at the same time. But for now, I'm just going to keep my reed in my case. And I'm going to close it up and put it away. But I'm just going to double check again that everything's in its right place, so nothing's going to get bent when I close the lid. There we go. Making sure they're both latched. There we go.